How would I fail at woo-woo therapy?
Well, not you in particular, but I think a lot of people, one, think that it's the devil's work,
Ooh,
right? And so,
devil.
yeah. And
Fail for you.
it is not the devil's work. It is, unless you are the devil. I mean, because this is intuition, this is storytelling. And in fact, I teach a workshop called Storyboarding the Cards because it's all about like the narrative, and what you kind of get out of that narrative. So there is no devil or God in tarot. There is intuition, right? There are vices, there are obstacles to look out for. But a lot of people think that it's demons' work to ask about the future. And the thing is that tarot really isn't about the future, right? The tarot is really about what's going on in your present moment and then asking your spirit guides guidance on how to make choices that bedevil you,
Yeah. So one way to fail at it would be to make it synonymous with some kind of
cult or religion,
evil or some kind of negative thing or something to be scared of.
Right. It's nothing to be afraid of.
It's divination tool.
Right.
For some folks.
Right. Right. Yeah. So if somebody looks at tarot as if, we're tapping into the occult in some way, I mean, you can if you want, but that's like your thing, right? Yeah. There are no rules in tarot, in my opinion. That's not how I divine. That's not how I read tarot. I read tarot in the present moment and maybe fast future. Like, okay, at this moment, this is what the situation looks like if you make this choice. And so often when people come and see me, they're like, I knew it. They often come in to receive validation on their own intuition, which they don't trust anymore. And they're like, I knew it, but they had a hard time, kind of choosing between what they should do because their brain gets in the way of their intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that comes up for me around tarot and the occult is the Thoth deck, Aleister Crowley.
I love that. Yeah, it's a great deck.
And he was, the founder of the Satanic Church. And so I'm not tying any of these together, but it's interesting.
Well, I mean, when you look, and I got into a debate with this guy. He runs a modern school. That's all I'll say about that. Everyone wonders where tarot came from. And the truth of the matter is it comes from everything and all things. You can date it back to, Italy with their deck. And I guess they pronounce it tarot or whatever. He believed that it came from, Kabbalah, Tree of Life.
Yeah.
Right? I believe that it goes even further back, because in Eastern cultures, they were divining, but they were divining through a regular deck of cards, which is how I learned cartomancy, where we're still using cards to find wisdom. So to say it comes from just the Tree of Life or just the Thoth deck, or from, Italy, Italians, like it was a board game.
Like the Marseille deck.
Yeah, the Marseille deck, or the Italian, version of it, or even like cartomancy or the Eastern versions of it, I think it's all kind of bullshit.
There's a both and.
There's a yes and to all of it, and not a definitive answer. So to your point, if you're just using like that reference, sure. You know what I mean? It could totally be the occult, right? It's how you choose to use it. And so the way I see it is I like to take it off from, and I'm a Buddhist, so I like to use my Buddhist interpretation of how I see fit with the cards.
You're a Buddhist?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I've been, just as a small aside, I fail at philosophy with a professor. His name's Grant Potts. And we've been going through the big questions of philosophy, a book, and it's a comparative look at these big questions with Western philosophy on one side and Buddhism on the other. And so I've been going deep into Nagarjuna and Mahayana and a lot of just like, it's been really mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Emptiness.
Yeah.
and non-self, and a lot of these philosophic discoveries and contemplations.
My mother was a Buddhist coming from, like, I was born in Vietnam, but she wasn't a very good Buddhist. And I pushed back on Buddhism because I didn't like this idea of suffering. In my 20s, I was like more of a hedonist,
Mm-hmm.
and so because I didn't have good examples of Buddhism, wasn't really taught Buddhism from my mother, even though she, prayed to the Buddha incense and had all the statues and whatnot. Like I said, I turned away from it. I rediscovered it about, 10 years ago. And what really helped me with it was reading, Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thich Nhat Hanh. He's Vietnamese, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
I love Thich Nhat Hanh.
yeah. And so one thing that he said really stuck with me and about Western Buddhism is that, Westerners take Buddhism so seriously. Like, it's not that. What he's basically saying is that you don't need to cut off your roots of where you're from in order to become a Buddhist. You can incorporate your own Western roots, because to cut off your roots, like to go to the mountains and to just, wear the orange cloth and to become more Asian in order to become a Buddhist is actually not the right way to become Buddhist, because you're cutting off your roots. So he wrote in one of his, like, I forget which book, but it was the 14 Principles of Buddhism for Westerners,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really, really kind of cool, I did a podcast about it, but I only got to principle number 6 because my tarot thing was taken off. But I hate the title of the podcast, but it was called Your Beautiful Self.
Oh,
I hate it. It's so awful.
Oh, dude, dad puns abide over here.
Yeah.
Your beautiful self.
Your beautiful self.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, Buddhism really has helped me more so with my mental health, more so than NLP has, So
yeah, Buddhism is wonderful. I attended the Plum Blossom Sangha here in town for a long time.
Lovely, yeah.
The Thich Nhat Hanh
Yeah.
group, and really love Thich Nhat Hanh. He's definitely a person that's meant a lot to me. I've read a number of his books.
Yeah, such a wonderful teacher.
Yeah.